I'm about to share something with you that I think you might find a little bit disturbing. No, it's not something that's going to make you uncomfortable, but here's a statement I want to share with you and get your reaction to. Teams are not dysfunctional. People are. Let me say that again. Teams are not dysfunctional. People are. There's been a lot of conversation and even publication around the idea that teams are dysfunctional. But what I want to suggest to you is that a team itself is not dysfunctional. It's oftentimes the people that are on the team that are dysfunctional. Think about your team for a moment. If you've got a team that you deem to be a little bit dysfunctional, my guess is you can tie that back to one or two people, depending on the size of your team, that themselves seem to be dysfunctional. They don't fit within the team. They stand out for some reason. Maybe they complain too much, right? Maybe they don't do their job effectively. They're always screwing up, whatever the case is. So as soon as we recognize that dysfunction doesn't exist in a team, it exists in the individuals within the team, it helps us narrow down our focus. Specifically, it helps us identify what we need to do to improve the performance of the overall team, which in turn is improving the performance of the individuals on the team. Here's an example I'll share with you. I had a CEO bring me in and said, Shawn, my senior leadership team's dysfunctional. I said, what exactly do you mean by that? So through a conversation, what he shared with me is there was a few folks on the team that seemed to always push back on everything. They didn't want to participate. They had their own ideas, and they just didn't work well with others. So I suggested I have a conversation with them, as well as a few of the other people on the team, to understand their differences. Where are they coming from, in essence? What I found through that dialogue is that the individuals who are pushing back had their own visions or view of where the company should be going, and it didn't align with the CEO and the rest of the team. More importantly, so there was two individuals, one of the individuals had challenges in even understanding their role and what they were responsible for. Both of those issues can be resolved. They can be resolved through knowledge and skills training and further communication. So when I went back to the CEO and said, look, you don't need me, you need to spend more time with your people. And you need to communicate more effectively relative to the people on your team to make sure they're effective in their roles. Do they have everything they need? At the end of the day, if you've done everything you can, they have all the information they need, they have the tools, and they're still not a fit in the team, maybe it's time to move them. Now that might seem harsh, but go back to what I said. Teams are not dysfunctional, people are. So here's what I'd like you to do. If you've got a team that you deem dysfunctional, spend some time identifying what is it, number one, that's dysfunctional about the team. And I want you to keep in the back of your mind, be very specific here. If it's a person, identify it's a person. If it's a general issue across the team, really challenge yourself to make sure it's general. I always like to use the statement that I've heard many times before, don't generalize from a specific. If you've got a specific issue, don't make it sound like it applies to everybody or everything. Really focus. What's the issue? Is it a person? Is it a person's performance? Is it a missing tool, some missing information, a lack of communication? On and on I could go. So understand and really spend some time on this. Now, once you've identified what the potential issues are, I'd like you to do your best to tackle them. So for example, think about the people on the team right now. If it's a communication issue, I'd sit down with the team and say, look, after considering all that we've been through and all that we've been working on, it strikes me that our communications differ. Some of you communicate well together, some of you don't. I think our team would perform better if we found ways to better communicate. Let's have a conversation amongst all of us around what are the communication issues. Now, if you say this and you could hear a pin drop, you can start. Let me note a few things I've observed. Let me get your feedback on that. You might have to start to get the ball rolling, but what you're going to do is draw out the issues. And if you've talked to these individuals who have, if you've validated your perceptions by speaking to some individuals in the team, as I mentioned earlier, you're really going to have people within your audience, so to speak, or your team who will start to volunteer and say, yeah, you know what, I spoke to Shawn, this is my view, right? Those people will come up, okay? They will present eventually. You might just have to draw it out of them slowly. So number one, just to review, understand if your team's dysfunctional, what are the specific issues? Number two, talk to some people on the team to validate their perceptions. And these will have to be some trustworthy people. I suggest a couple people you know would give you a good, solid answer, and a couple of the more challenging people that you're not so sure of. Get a response from both of them. Now take this information to a team meeting or a group meeting with the individuals, present what your findings are, and ask for their feedback. Brainstorm around some ideas to improve this. I think you're going to find if you go through this and then you take those ideas and actually execute upon them, what's going to happen is you're either A, going to resolve the issue or issues to some degree, and you'll identify further actions to take naturally that will evolve out of that situation. Or B, what you're going to find is that there's one or two people in the team that don't fit within the team. They're not a good fit for where the team is and where the team's trying to go. Either way, you get complete clarity on what you need to do to improve the performance of your team and reduce any idea of dysfunction. So, teams aren't dysfunctional, people are. Think about that and think about it relative to your team. I'm Shawn Casemore. Thanks a lot for joining me. If you'd like more information on how to improve and empower your team, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find information up above or down below. Leave some comments for me, or feel free to reach out and share your own examples if you think I can be of help to you. You can always email me, Shawn@casemoreandco.com. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.